Hey guys, Turk here. Hope you're having a good one. At long last, I finally have access to my own retail Steam Deck, and after playing on it for the past week and a half, I can finally admit that it has been worth the wait. But let's keep in mind that I reserved this back in July of 2021, and the future of the handheld market has seen a lot of changes since then. A few weeks ago, I introduced you guys to the competition to the Steam Deck, but today we're going to answer the question and settle the score. Is the Steam Deck the best handheld that's going to be out there? The handheld market has been exploding, and we have lots of different models from the mid-range all the way to the high-end from several different companies. Ayn brings their 6-inch form factor to the market, while Ayaneo and GPD are familiar faces in this racket. And the newest contender is AOKZOE, though they do give off some similar vibes to the 1X player in their 8-inch style and form factor. If you're wanting to know a bit more about each of the individual products, check out the video up at the top right. I walk you through each of the company's different offerings from the low end all the way to the high end and give my opinion and what I think you should keep your eyes out for, Indiegogos, Kickstarter links, and all that good stuff. But despite all of the different bells and whistles in the spec sheets, there's one key differentiator. And today we're going to be focusing on that, and that is its processor, or its APU, or its accelerated processing unit. As we've come to know and love, the Steam Deck is powered by a custom AMD APU with 8 RDNA 2 compute units running at a modest 1.6 GHz. This combination has become the de facto standard for next generation performance. Sourcing a custom APU takes a lot of work from both the engineers as well as the development side for these companies, and since they're really small, that's just not feasible in most cases, so they have to go to off-the-shelf components. AMD has two different thin and light processors with their Ryzen 6000 series. The 6800U packs in the Radeon 680M integrated graphics solution, with 12 RDNA 2 compute units running up to 2.2 GHz. This iGPU has the capacity to boost to 2.2 GHz, but with a TDP between 15 to 28 watts, the processor might have some problems hitting those speeds reliably. The 6600U is the less endowed sibling, equipped with the Radeon 660M, touting half the compute units and only running up to 1.9 GHz. Again, it has a configurable TDP between 15 and 28 watts. So this begs the question, which of these products can actually stand up toe-to-toe with the Steam Deck in terms of performance? And I think the bigger question is, can any of these products even defeat the Steam Deck in terms of value? So how exactly are we going to answer those questions? Obviously, I'm a much smaller channel than a lot of the bigger names that are out there, so I don't get early access to hardware in order to validate these claims. And if I was to actually go and buy the different laptops on the market that have each of these processors, that would cost me nearly $3,000 just to get that privilege. Fortunately, ETA Prime has gotten his hands on a bunch of different products that have all three of the different processors that we want to look at today. Unfortunately, though, he's only just starting to scratch the surface in his own analysis. But I think we can dig through his data just a little bit more in order to come to a definitive answer as to which of these products is best for you. So, with that out of the way, let's set the stage with 3D Mark. Night Raid is a lightweight, cross-platform DirectX 12 benchmark aiming to generate comparable results across a wide range of integrated graphics solutions. Let's take a look at the current generation of handhelds with the 5800U. At 15 watts, the Steam Deck is 34 percentage points faster than the 5800U. Even increasing the wattage to 28 watts, the deck is 24 percentage points faster than our older 1X player. When it comes to the higher-end 6800U, we've got some exciting results. At 15 watts, the deck is only 4 percentage points faster than the AOKZOE A1. But as we've seen with the Fox's scaling data, the deck is 23 percentage points slower than the A1. And in a full-powered and cooled laptop, the 6800U can stretch its legs a little bit more, and the deck starts to drag behind by 31%. Comparing the 6800U at two different wattages, going down to 15 watts costs us about 26% in performance. But what about the mid-range? This is where things start to get crazy. The deck is 1.3 percentage points faster than the 6600U, and the deck runs at nearly half the TDP. Considering the percentage point drop we saw with the 6800U, this doesn't bode well for the mid-range APU. Let's up the ante with Firestrike. Firestrike shifts down a gear with the DirectX 11 API, but it floors on the gas using heavy rendering techniques that surpass the stresses of Night Raid. Compared to the older 5800U, the deck retains a comfortable 21 percentage point lead, though the extra stress does drop the deck's margins from Night Raid. And 28 watts eats even more into those margins, with the deck's lead slipping to 14 percentage points. With the extra load, the Steam Deck begins to buckle and the 6800U takes off. The deck lags behind the A1 by 6 percentage points at 15 watts, and the additional wattage at 28 watts again leaves the Steam Deck behind by a massive 28 percentage points. Adding insult to injury, the fully loaded 6800U continues to win, with the deck taking a colossal L by 36 percentage points. And considering the performance difference between 15 watts and 28 watts for the 6800U, that's a 23% performance drop. This trend continues with the 6600U, though it's not as bad as you would think. With the 6600U utilizing twice as much power as the Steam Deck, the deck is only behind by 4 percentage points. Some could say that this is the drivers, others could think that it's the ThinkPad is just seeing similar results that the ThinkBook saw. In reality though, with a handheld, performance is definitely going to slip behind the Steam Deck, especially at 15 watts. If you are looking for AAA performance in a handheld device, TimeSpy is a great metric to see the pecking order, of course when comparing similar devices with similar architectures. The Steam Deck leads the 5800U by 25 percentage points at 15 watts and retains a lead by 15% with the One X player at 28 watts. The deck continues to put up a fight with the AOKZOE A1 at 15 watts, taking it on the chin by only 6%. But Valve's Handheld is no competition for either of the higher wattage scenarios. As for the 6800U, we see a 28% performance drop going with the reduced 15 watts. In an interesting twist, the Steam Deck gains a slight lead over the 6600U at 28 watts, which shows how impressive the Aerith APU's efficiency truly is. Though 3D Mark isn't a great representation of actual in-game FPS performance, it does help establish a pecking order across all of the different products, and I think it's safe to say that the 6800U will be at least as good, if not better, than the Steam Deck, but the 6600U, even at 28 watts, it's starting to slip and perform worse than the Steam Deck. So what happens when we look at actual in-game performance? Unfortunately, this is where I think ETA Prime's data starts to get a little bit foggy. This isn't a dig at Prime by any means, but his testing methodology isn't consistent across all of the products he tests. However, there are a few games that uses the same settings, or at least similar enough, where we can compare across his test results. Halo Infinite has been a challenging game to run on a handheld, given its graphical load. Fortunately, Prime has tested the Ryzen 6000 laptops at 720p and low detail settings in the higher wattage scenarios to give us a decent idea of the maximum performance that we should expect from a handheld. The 6800U hits 77 FPS on average inside of a bot match, while the 6600U slips to 52 FPS for a 32% drop. This is unfortunate since 60 FPS is ideal for this shooter. When ETA tested the AOKZOE A1 at 800p, we can confirm that at 15 watts, we maintain above 60 FPS on average, which is a positive result. When he tested the Steam Deck in Windows, he was able to get 38 FPS at 800p at the low detail settings. This is also from an older video of his, so the deck might have gained a few FPS with the more recent driver updates. We also have one data point from this 6800U at 28 watts, showing that that APU is able to hit at least 30 FPS at 1080p, which shows that these more higher-end devices could be playable for a campaign mission. But all these results lead me to believe that a 6600U based APU, especially at 15 watts, is not going to be a really great gaming experience and should get at 800p and low detail settings anywhere between 30 and 35 FPS. In fact, when I was doing the same testing with my One X Player Mini and its 5800U, I was seeing very similar performance. Next up is God of War, and it is probably one of the better PlayStation PC ports, and its performance on the Steam Deck has been a strong selling point for the device. In Prime's testing, he mixes in either original or low detail settings, and he typically sticks to the performance FSR configuration. In Prime's testing, the Steam Deck was able to hit 41 FPS at original detail settings with FSR and performance mode, and when he was testing with the AOKZOE A1 at 15 watts, he was also getting 35 FPS, which is a considerable win for the Steam Deck. But in my testing, when I used the 1X Player Mini at 15 watts, I was able to get 28 FPS. Given the results here are all focused in at the 15 watt TDP, I think it's safe to say the 6600U should be anywhere between, 32 to 28 FPS. So now that we have a general pecking order from our 3D Mark scores, as well as some comparable gameplay results from Halo Infinite and God of War, I have 3 recommendations for the best handhelds that will be coming on the market in the later half of this year into first quarter of 2023. Now in third place, I'm going to give that over to the Ayn Lok 6600U with 8 GB. This specific configuration is the only next generation handheld that is priced comparative to the Steam Deck. It will likely not perform as well as the Steam Deck, but it should be faster than some of our previous generation handhelds. With a smaller form factor, this Loki seems like the ideal budget handheld for a true mobile gamer. Alright, second place is going to ruffle a few feathers, and I'm going to hand it to the Valve Steam Deck. Now right now, it is by far the best value-oriented handheld on the market. With the storage size being the only separation in the different SKUs, value-oriented buyers will be happy to just slap an SD card in their Steam Deck. Even then, if you compare the $400 Steam Deck against some of the 6600U based units, they're just going to perform slower than the Steam Deck and cost just as much as a top-tier Valve handheld. I have to admit though, the Steam Deck is a bit chunky and it's almost about the same size as the AOKZOE A1, and likely larger than many of the 7-inch handhelds that are launching in a few months. For some, that might be worth looking past, but for others, that could be a no-go. Unfortunately, if you're looking to buy a Steam Deck right now, you're going to be going into the end of the line and there's no telling of when your Steam Deck will be shipping to you. Right now, Valve is still servicing people that pre-ordered decks over a year ago. So until they give us more information, we just have no idea as to when your Steam Deck's going to ship to you. If you watched my previous video, first place is going to surprise you just a bit. I'm going to hand it to the Ayaneo Geek 2. At $800, the 6800U equipped deck is hard to look past, especially considering it can have almost double the storage capacity and can perform significantly better than the Steam Deck. Comparing the 512GB deck to the 512GB Geek, you're looking at a 23 percentage point price premium for potentially the same amount of performance improvement. So performance per dollar for both of these units is going to be very comparable. Now, if you're willing to wait a little bit and jump in on the early bird Indiegogo price for the Ayaneo, at $689, this is a huge bargain. Given all the bells and whistles as well as the notoriety that Ayaneo's had with their products to date, I gotta say the Geek 2 is mighty impressive and might be worth taking more of a look at. Now, I've got to hand out one honorable mention, and that is to the AOKZOE A1. If you're looking to run your processor at 28 watts, then the AOKZOE is my recommendation to get you there. If you manage to get in with the early bird deal, the 39 percentage point increase in price should justify the performance improvement you see. With the increased screen size and the option for a larger battery capacity of 67 watt hours, the AOKZOE A1 is going to be a gaming handheld beast. But if you're just now getting into the game, $1,100 is a hard price to pay for the A1, and I would rather go for the Geek or wait in line for the Steam Deck. As for the rest of the products, I've got to say the 6600U is just less than ideal for a handheld, especially considering the $500 to $700 price tag that's going with these types of products. So unless those are going onto a deep discount or you get them on an extreme early bird price, don't expect to get a better experience than the current Steam Deck, but you could be getting a better form factor, a couple of other bells and whistles that might be more important to you than the Steam Deck. But that's all I've got to say about all of these different handhelds. Let me know down below what you guys think and what you've got your eyes as well as your money going towards in your next handheld. As always, you can follow me over on Twitter in order to get all the latest sneak peeks when it comes to handheld, as well as any other PC and tech reviews I've got coming to the channel. As always, thank you for sticking to the end of the video. I hope you guys have a great week. We'll catch you in the next one.